Where's my 3, 2, 1?
3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is MinnowKnight.
And my name is Bignose, and today we have a wonderful opportunity for a fantastic interview.
That's right. And as always, we might disagree with each other, but that's okay, because we can still be friends afterwards.
I absolutely agree with you. However, I want to remind everyone that this will be more of an adult-oriented conversation in terms of the topic, so please keep that in mind.
That being said, enjoy the ride, and always remember to be civil with each other. Hello, guys. Welcome back. My name is MinnowKnight. I am joined with Bignose and KanoaDaddy. KanoaDaddy wants to go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name is KanoaDaddy. I'm a Twitch streamer and YouTuber. It's all bullshit. It's going to be a good time. Come hang out on twitch.tv/KanoaDaddy or youtube.com/KanoaDaddy. I'll see you there.
Right.
We're linking everything in the bio anyway, in the description anyway.
Below. That's right. Everything will be linked down in the description below. So the last interview that we had with Kanoa was a bit heavier, to say the least. So we're going to try to stay a bit lighter this time. Hopefully. Again, we're recording these things back to back to back, so that's why none of our clothes have changed. We kind of look a little bummed out right now, but hey, we're going to try to be cheerful and happy and lighthearted. You got the lighthearted intro. I'm going to start the interview. What's
our lighthearted conversation about this time, Minnow?
I'm hoping it stays lighthearted, but we're talking about religion this time.
Great.
As previously discussed in the very beginning, in the first interview with this, we all have the same religious background, so this will be interesting to see.
All grew up Baptist. Oh, it's going to be interesting. So first mini topic of the season or of the day or the interview, whatever you want to call it, is religion in modern America. So first thing I want to ask is, how big of a role do you think religion plays in the decision-making of people in modern America? And that's religion in general, not necessarily Christianity.
I would say significant among a significant percentage. I would, if I'm spitballing numbers, I would say it matters to about 70% of U.S. citizens.
Right. And again,
so for clarification on your answer, would that be the religion side of things or the moral code of religion side of things?
I guess you could have a whole ass conversation about people who pretend to be religious for mock religion.
Yeah.
Included. I would say 70%. I think everyone believes they have a moral code. I think that is probably true for like a 99% of people have some kind of moral code, whether it be based in religion or not. I would say most people with a religion base theirs in religion.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's interesting because, again, the vast majority of America, which surprisingly enough, I know like 2005 era YouTube or the 2010 era YouTube is everyone's like, oh yeah, the atheism versus religion thing was happening. But the vast majority of America is still religious, surprisingly enough. So yeah. I definitely think you're 70%. Excuse me. I've been drinking energy drinks this entire time, so.
It's okay. I wish I had more alcohol.
Oh, man.
I mean, I wish we lived closer because I'd share some of mine with you, but
there you go. I'm like 1,200 miles from the coastline, so.
But yeah, I was about to say, I was like, it's not even just a drive, but that's a boat, a plane.
Yeah, right.
Back to the conversation at hand.
But yeah,
yes,
definitely 70%. I would say is an accurate number. So, kind of basing off that, what are some of your personal like viewpoints or beliefs on religion in America? Like, you know, kind of going off that 70%. Like,
sure. So as I mentioned in a previous episode, the sexuality episode, I think. We all brought up how we were all raised Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, Southern Baptist, American Baptist. We all were taught initially Baptist ideas. So Christianity has had some sort of influence on all of us. My way out of religion in general, particularly baptism, was when I was 15, I asked my preacher too many questions. He got frustrated that I was asking, an inquisitive 15-year-old was asking like questions that he couldn't answer. There were questions he couldn't answer, and he was like, "You'll have to read the book for that. Interpret it for yourself." And I'm like, "Yeah, but why isn't that an answer? It seems pretty straightforward." Like,
Right.
Yeah. And ultimately,
like,
small side note, that's probably where the church is going wrong, where some churches are going wrong. If somebody's inquisitive, answer their questions. If you don't know the answer, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
And get back to them. But
and there were things like, 15-year-old me was a big old nerd, and I always wondered why bad guys were in things. I remember having big stories. I remember asking my mom, watching a TV show. I was like, "Hey, Ma, why are there bad guys?" And they were like puzzled about the question for a while. And they're like, "I don't know, it makes the show entertaining. It makes it interesting." And I was like, "That's a terrible answer in general."
Right.
yeah.
So why did God make evil was like questions that I would be asking and things like that. If he has the power to stop evil, why doesn't he? If it's all a test for us, but we're set up without predestination, like, what's the illusion of choice? We get stuck in all these different fallacies and issues where things kind of like counter
and personally,
themselves.
those questions are why I am a theological agnostic at this point. While I cannot disprove the Christian God, I don't wholeheartedly believe that he is all good.
Right.
That's just
Which
me.
is entirely fair. My standpoint is, if there is a God, he's clearly not someone I would want to follow. That's the general rule set. Based on the facts that are provided to me, I wouldn't want to follow him.
And I'm the only one sitting here that's still technically a Christian. So
and my dad's a pastor.
Absolutely no hatred or judgment there.
Oh,
I'm all about people doing the things that work for them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We can go on.
Christianity in general.
We can go on about that, but
we can go on like a 3-hour tirade about theological debates on the exact reasons why evil exists in society.
Then put me back on the question. I'm sure I diverted way too far.
So what is your personal opinion on religion overall in America?
Basically, what is your role of religion in modern America? Is more like
what do you think the role
of religion in modern America, I think, is currently and unfortunately still used as a means of controlling morality. I hate to say that, because I'm not like just an anti-religion human being in general. I think it helps a lot of people better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's when that feeling, particularly in a lot of Christian denominations where there's a need to spread evangelically or even encourage heavily every other person to follow said religion, or impose the morals of that religion and the rules of that religion on others, that's where it gets fucked. You're going to see people pushing for abstinence even.
Yeah.
Something as simple as abstinence may work for you, and bless you if it is. That doesn't mean you have the say over whether other people remain abstinent. You shouldn't be able to look at your neighbor and say, "Hey man, don't have sex. That's against my religion."
Yeah, and those people are what I would call shitty Christians.
Yeah.
Putting it bluntly.
Well, anyone is trying to impose their own will over others. Shitty person.
Yeah, but it's like the good Christians I know, including my father, mother, and family in general, they're all, "Hey, I'm going to love you unconditionally. And if you ask me why I forgave you, I'm going to tell you the answer.
Right.
I'm going to let you ask first." That kind of thing. Like, that's how I personally believe that religion in general should spread.
Minnow's itching.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, I want to talk. But, yeah, I think I've heard it best put as too many times, especially in America, do Christians hold non-Christians to the Christian standard, which is inherently wrong. on multitude of different levels, from both a Christian viewpoint and a non-Christian viewpoint. You should never hold someone to a standard that they don't live by. So,
or that you don't meet yourself.
Yeah, or that you don't meet yourself. Definitely.
That's extra fucked.
That's where the word hypocrite comes in.
Exactly.
In America, in particular, legislation is where this is a hard cutoff for me. Christian morals and personal values, which is something that has always fascinated me about left and right-leaning things, is if you don't want the government to have a say over all the shit you do economically and with your rights and such, why are the same people who very strongly advocate for your personal rights, particularly to bear arms, other constitutional rights, the same that would like to make that standard, the Christian standard, required by law in some cases? Mm-hmm. Particularly, like, we can, I don't want to get into too many details of that. I'm sure you can think of an example or two really quick. Why is that? Why is that kind of legislation supported by the people who don't want the government to control things? Generally speaking, because I think we can all associate quite fairly that a majority of Republicans are of the Christian faith.
Right.
I know damn near everyone that I've ever known is a devout Christian. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why is that kind of control okay to impose on others when you don't want that control imposed on you in any kind of way?
So I could almost see it like, hey, this person upholds my morals. And sometimes they just don't think about the other people. Sometimes they just think, okay, hey, this is good. I'm going to go with this. But it could very well be, even if they disagree with them, they don't see any other alternative in terms of person. Like, we've talked about the media in the politics segment, but it's like the media uplifts certain people, and even the way they portray statistics can subconsciously get you to do something. It's very low-key manipulation, but it happens all the time. And so I could almost see it being that.
Right.
Which causes such people to be put in power.
So, okay. So you're looking at this more of like the legislators kind of area.
Yeah, like the legislators, like not necessarily the people. Yes, the people can vote for the people for these legislators. It's not all on the people's back. Like, it is on the people in power's back getting these people in power. That kind of thing.
Okay.
But when it comes to the people's side of things, they could either not really care about the other people and say, hey, this is good for my family or me. Or they could say, hey, this would actually be a good thing for America to start going towards, because they believe it. Because they believe it is the right way to go. And it all falls back to the moral code of the religion you follow.
Yeah. So kind of
without having to point out the fallacies and that kind of mentality, of course. Yeah.
But yeah. Were you going to say something, Minna?
Oh, I was going to say, kind of jumping on. No, you guys are fine.
No, I was going to lead on to the next question if you weren't going to.
That's what I'm doing. But yeah, kind of jumping on the whole idea of, like, you know, religion playing like, especially Christianity playing into an aspect of, like, legislation. To what extent can religion be included into the public education system? As kind of an example, I know that a lot of schools, public schools across the nation, have incorporated prayer times for those of the Islamic faith, and they've started going more away from, like, allowing, I'm not going to say, like, they're banning Christianity in schools, but, like,
they're not allowing public, like, the out loud Christianity in public schools.
Yeah, kind of like prayer before a football game is kind of becoming less okay to do, but, you know.
Yeah.
Right. I'm of the belief that public things that everyone has to go through, should be entirely secular.
Okay.
And that's for all religions, not just Christianity. That should be a wide blanket there of, hey, keep my public shit secular.
Okay.
You don't want your Christian kid having to undergo the pressure or preparations of a faith that is not your own or of your family's. Just as much as you wouldn't want to like put the Islamic kid through fucking prayer time for Jesus. You know, like you don't have to sit there and like force him through that. Like their family obviously would get upset. If you keep everything secular, everyone can just exist and focus what they're there for, which is education.
Right.
You can learn about the religions in the appropriate classes, but you're not supposed to be influencing these kids to follow a certain religion or be taught that one is right or one is wrong, or even put it in their face when they don't need to.
Right. So
yeah. So sorry, Minnow. But in your personal belief, if a teacher is Christian and wants to pray over the class for a good learning time, do you think that would be like a good thing to do, but not publicly, like not actively as the class is in there, pray over them to begin with, but like before the class even comes in, pray for a good learning session, that everything goes smoothly kind of thing?
Who does that hurt? They're not wasting class time with it. They're not making the kids do it.
Yeah.
They want to pray in the break room. If they want to pray in their office, they want to pray even in the classroom before class time. Like the bell hasn't rung yet. I don't give a shit if you're praying the whole time, man. Like, do you? But don't make the kids do anything. Don't make them
don't make them bow their head, fold their hands, and stay silent for the entire prayer kind of thing.
Yeah. Basically, it's and a majority of our conversations come back to this autonomy. People have autonomy.
Yeah.
Let them have their autonomy. It's that easy.
Yeah.
It's that's
simple.
Let people have their rights.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one thing that we all pretty much agree on.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
So
that is, I knew we oppose on a lot of things, but at the end of the day, no one here is being authoritarian.
Right. To simply put it, like, level playing field, let all the kids just go to school for learning and learning only, and then allow religion be more of like a parent kind of thing, like a family more oriented.
A parent thing, let the kids seek it out on their own. That kind of thing, not make the teachers hide their religion necessarily, but
it
don't
be
actively
don't
hide it, but also don't make it your personality. Don't make it who you are as a person up front. Bam, that kind of thing.
Well, it's a matter of at what point is swinging your arm hit someone else in the nose?
Yeah.
As long as it's not hurting anybody or taking up the time and making other people do things that is not something they want to do. Everything that a teacher does, because they are in a position of power, should be to educate children.
Yes.
Right.
Which majority of all teachers want to do anyways. I've very rarely ever heard of a case where like a teacher's trying to push something that isn't education on kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not trying to paint a picture that teachers are just out there trying to spread religion like evangelical as shit, trying to get people to convert. But
we're just trying to ask the questions and get the opinions kind of thing. Like this is our personal opinion on these things, not painting a picture.
Right.
That's it. Just keep the autonomy. Kids have autonomy to a certain degree, undoubtedly. Like you don't push them to do shit that their families probably wouldn't want them to do. Just teach them. Right? That's the whole point. We want an educated population.
Yeah. So that seems like a great jumping off point, because we keep coming back to Christianity, because again, we all grew up as Christians.
And it is the majority in the United States.
Yeah. Which leads me into my final questions of this entire setting and of this last topic. And it's going to be, I'm going to ask it in a two-part setting. So the first and foremost is, and this is all opinion-based, to what extent do you believe that the U.S. government was influenced by the Christian faith from like when the early the founding fathers, wrote the Constitution and wrote the Bill of Rights? And then as a second part to that, what role do you think the Christian faith plays in the general population on a day-to-day basis? kind of.
Okay. In as plain terms as possible, the founding fathers intended for there to be, as is written, a separation of church and state.
Right.
That is the purpose of that was because coming over from England, it was ruled basically by religion, and the religious figurehead, the king, could do whatever the fuck he wanted to do in the name of religion, and then you, even if you didn't care about the government, you sure as hell cared about religion, so
Right.
you don't want to go to hell, so you're gonna fucking follow it.
Yeah.
There was a significant emphasis the founding fathers made on separating these two things. But we as people are fallible. We as people know that religion is a powerful structure. At all, any religion, any major religion is a powerful structure, because there's a lot of people who will follow that thing. A lot of people will invest in that thing, give money to that thing, and money is quite literally power in the United States, at least, if not the world. The role religion takes now is as simple, to me, is as simple as, if you are non-religious, you have a lower social standing. That is why damn near every president we've ever had has been a Christian. If not all, I'm actually not sure there are any that weren't.
I don't know if there was any outspoken non-religious people.
Yes, everyone swears in on the Bible.
Right.
It's how it goes, and it's always been that way. And it's never changed, because that's the tradition of what it is.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you do. If you are a self-pronounced Christian and you are president, by God, fucking swear on the Bible. The issue comes in that if you tried not being a Christian, or I guess in the United States, if you tried not being Christian, you have a harder time.
Right.
Even in my younger life, I had a harder time before it became more normal to not be religious. And that could have been my area growing up. Yeah, Southern Baptist area. Yeah. Being non-religious comes with a set of consequences.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people who are religious now because that's the way they were taught. I also think there's an incredibly large surge of non-religious and agnostic individuals now, because we aren't afraid to question the fallacies that we have been faced with all our life as far as a lot of religious interactions have gone. And that's good. If you choose to be religious, keep doing it, man. By all means. And if you choose not to be, it shouldn't come with the repercussions that it generally does. And I think that's something we're going to see change in our lifetimes, is that the United States will eventually peel further and further away from a mixed state and church, and instead find that separation that the forefathers had intended for.
Right. And again, the only real reason why I ask about the Christian faith influencing the U.S. government is there's a lot of people out there that claim that, oh yeah, Christian morals are what really founded the Bill of Rights, and exactly why they thought they needed to have some kind of governing system where it was more about personal autonomy and stuff like that. And I think it's one of those interesting discussions, because you can definitely see a kind of the handprint of religion and Christianity, not necessarily, more from a molding standpoint. You can see the touches behind it where it shaped this,
shape some of the decisions.
Yeah, kind of a potter's making a bowl or a vase or whatever. You can definitely see the markings that shaped it and formed it, but definitely it's not formed by it, if that makes sense. It's not Christianity to the core, but
well, if it helps to put it in any kind of perspective, it was a bunch of Christians who came together and said, hey, religion shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
This decision was made by people who just they were constantly getting fucked on by the fact that it was in charge, and they made that decision even though it was technically in their best interest at the time, to let it continue to be, and they chose against it.
Yeah.
They didn't drop religion. They just said, hey, we need to separate these things because it's a bad mix. And, and that's maybe the greatest testament I can immediately think of as to why it needs to happen.
And
is if a bunch of Christians come together and say, hey, maybe this shouldn't be a Christian-based country. We shouldn't call our national religion Christianity. We'll have no national religion. Maybe it's time to like listen to those guys, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely do like how the founding fathers, you know, because it would have been very easy for them to make like a religious oligarchy like that, you know, and like create, you know, basically New England, you know, with the king and head of the church and all. It would have been very easy for them to do that. The fact that they all said no, we're not doing that, I think is a very, very powerful statement that, you know, nobody across the globe had seen before.
It's a point to be proud of as an American.
Yeah, honestly. And with that, the second part of that question, I don't know if you fully answered that yet. I know you answered the first part of the last two questions, but the last question was, what does Christianity overall play as a part of the general populace? And you can just kind of skate over this because I know we've touched on this before. But
10 words or less.
Your opinion.
As a part of the general populace, Christianity's role, I don't see it kindly right now.
Okay.
I don't see it kindly right now. It has been a point of people choosing to blindly follow and be ignorant when I know there are many Christian people capable of research. There are scientists and all kinds of individuals who are of the Christian faith who will ignore the own data, the very data that they stand for in every other aspect. They will ignore when their preacher tells them to ignore it, and that is reprehensible. And I think people choose not to research because they feel as if they can just be told, and that's not the kind of people I want to stand for. That's not my country.
So to understand completely, what you just said was that overall Christianity right now in America, as it is right now, is breeding a flock of sheeple, people who will just
breeds
listen.
Complacency.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. People who will just listen and follow,
right,
and listen and just instantly believe. And
that's what faith is by definition.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to faith as a concept, but faith by definition is I don't need necessarily proof to follow this thing.
It's not necessarily just the faith, but it's also the, hey, you definitely should not do that, or hey, you're going to hell because you did that, that kind of thing. And what you're really looking for is the people who are able to listen to the sermon, listen to whatever the person in charge says, and research it for themselves and come to a different conclusion if need be. Right. Those are the people that you highly respect in the religious community.
Yes, people who can come to their own decision making, and a large part of the issue is even if you were very faithful and you listen to the leaders of your religion to a T, those religions or those leaders should be spreading a message of love and growth, which many do. Don't get me wrong, but it only takes a few people that are powerful and in charge of a religion that will lead people to hateful actions blindly.
Right.
And all it takes is it takes a very small minority to really, really fuck up a lot of people's lives and give a bad name to an organization or group.
Yeah. Right. And with that, I think this would be a great stopping point.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that, I'm just going to put this out, blanket statement. These are all of our opinions. All of us are rather open people. We're able to listen. We're able to just accept people for who they are, especially Kanoa. I know this well.
Yeah.
So if you disagree with any of this, please do leave it in the comments. Please do join the Discord and tell us how stupid we are. And then start having a conversation with us so that we can understand your perspective of this. But with that, I'd say we can run an outro real quick.
Yeah. Like I said, feel free to like, comment, share, have civilized discourse down in the comments. Anything goes, really. Again, all we ask is, once again, you be civilized. That's really it. And we do talk a lot of, good about Kanoa, and that's because he has grown a really awesome, wonderful community. In fact, actually, fun fact, all of this that we're doing right now would not be possible without Kanoa. So
absolutely,
super happy to have him on here as our very first interview. In fact, actually, so
happy to be here, boys.
Yeah, so definitely check him out. All of his major links are going to be down in the
description below.
So
the link to our Discord will be down below. Feel free to have as much conversations as you want. We're here for you. We love you guys. Just remember to be civilized.
And of course, this has been Discourse. Catch you later.
Well, sadly, that marks the end for having Kanoa on board. Like we said earlier, you can always go check him out on YouTube and on Twitch. He streams Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at either 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know. I'm in the middle of Hawaii, so I don't really know what time it is over there anymore. That being said, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, have civil discourse down below in the comments. If you go into the description below, you can find the links to Kanoa's YouTube page, his Twitch page, and you can also find the link to our Discord. So feel free to hop on in there and join in the civil discourse. There's also, as I forgot to mention in the previous 2 interview episodes, there is a bar tab where you can just hang out. It's fine to just hang out. You don't have to join in just to have these kind of talks. It's fine. But like I said, y'all have a good one. And thank you again. Also, somewhere in around here, link to other videos, and somewhere probably right on my mouth will be the subscribe button box. Y'all have a good one. I'm tired. I need to go to bed.